would recommend the temperatures. I don't know what the whatever the the melting temperature of what you're bonding together. That has to be into consideration for your temperatures and things like that. So.
Can I try?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nope, I'm not telling you. Okay, so first thing we want to do now is we want to bring our optic tower over. So we use this handle, push it all the way. Yeah, there you go. Just keep going all the way. There you go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, let's turn our vacuum off right out of the gate. It's that, yeah. And basically just on the end of the pedal, just push. There you go. Now it's off and let go. All right, so now it's off. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this arm down and kind of bring it down till it rests. Don't just kind of, okay, bring it down, keep bringing it. And there you go. Once it stops, then we use the other arm over there. Yeah, I probably want to do it from the top over. Yeah, there you go. And then you can see when it comes down, just keep going and just and bring that lever all the way down, just to make sure that you have it, so there you go. Put it all the way. And now we're going to turn our vacuum on. So we'll hit that pedal. Yep. Boom. Now we have vacuum. We're going to lift that lever up all the way. Yep. There you go. Lift this one all the way down. Keep going. There you go. All right, so let's, we can move our optic tower back over all the way. So now we can see what we're doing.
The beam splitter is on right now.
The laser is off.
Right, it only comes on when you push the float to table. So yeah, with this here, don't worry, just pull it. But you should never push on this, or because that's always just use the handle. Just boom, pull it out, and don't worry about if you're pulling hard or whatever. It's okay. Yeah, I mean within reason. But don't be worried if you come over and it goes clunk or whatever, that's okay. So now, basically, you can move these. So I'm going to do this.
So this is not to align the head and the...
Yeah, this is to align the head and everything. So I'm going to do this.
Sorry, if the rotation of the PCB is also important, how would you adjust that one?
Okay. I'll show you. There you go. So now, okay, so let's zoom out some here. So we're going to align this so you can float your table. So you push and hold the foot pedal, hang on to the table. Here we go. Yeah, hold it down. Yeah, that one you hold it. Keep it pressed. There you go. Now, see how the table floats? So now you get to try to figure out where you need to be. And you can see the laser. There you go. There's where you... Okay, so once you get it close, kind of use your micrometers to get it the rest of the way. Right? So if my substrate... So say my substrate wasn't right, I have to say it here. And that's rotating this, the substrate.
But I'm not seeing the substrate, I'm just seeing the calibration table.
So this is, we zoom out here, right? So this is this, right? This is, we're looking at the scale in the glass there, right?
But what about the board? This is just the standard calibration table. So I want to adjust my board.
Go over to the board.
Should we put the substrate in the middle of that?
There you go. So there's the. Let's adjust our lighting.
Do I have to place some markers on the board for its rotation adjustment?
No.
For example, how would I know that the rotation is not correct?
Oh, how do you know which way it goes? Oh, well, yeah, you need to know that. When you place it down on the heater plate and vacuum it down, you got to know whether it's 180 or.
For example, knowing it's accurately, it doesn't have any angle. There should be some markers on my board, right? Because how would I know it's correctly aligned?
So
for the table, there's a mask, but on the board, there's no mask. So I know.
Adjust your Z height till it's in focus.
So now I know the height is adjusted, but what about
Right,
the rotation?
yeah. Well, maybe we're gonna get to that in a second. Okay, so. So let's go to this. Yeah, you can bring it up. So if my substrate isn't square, it really doesn't matter, because, I mean, if I want to square it up, I can, you know, this box here, I can make it way out, I can square it up.
Say you want to flip chip, and the exact correspondence of the pins are important. So even a small amount of rotation in the board.
So this board, once it's fixed, right, then I have my part up top. I can do theta rotation with that part, with this one here, very fine. So what I'm doing is, whether this board is off a little bit or whatever, I'm going to match it up when I'm looking, right?
Because you're seeing both of them.
Yes, that is correct, yes. So that's how you would do your theta.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, yeah, you know, if this board isn't perfectly square, it doesn't matter, because we're going to be aligning everything.
Yeah.
So basically, if we wanted to, you know, we can square this up like this.
Can we see both? Now, how should it
Well,
be?
let's go back to this now. Well, I'll show you.
Beam splitter. So one part is on the head and the other one is on the table,
Yes,
and then you align them up properly,
yes,
and then you bring them down with the force,
yep,
and whether heated or, you know, one
or
side
not,
both
right,
sides.
whatever you're doing, right, yeah.
And so the first step, we just use the vacuum to absorb the die.
Yeah, the first step is you put your substrate down onto the heater plate. You hold it down with vacuum, full magnification, adjust your 0 point, right? And then you pick up your part and you turn your vacuum on and all that. And then once you have your part on the head and you have your substrate on the board, now you adjust your lighting so you can see both.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you do your alignment. So that's what we're going to do, an example of that right now. So now, are we at full mag here?
Just one question. So the third, the tube, the stuff in the tube, what is that for?
That's for, oops, sorry. If you have a, you know, if you're dispensing some type of material, that's, if you're not dispensing anything, then.
That encapsulation and all that? You mean,
Well, no, you wouldn't be encapsulating that, because that's usually what they do, right? You do your wire bond, and they encapsulate it, and then they kind of go from there. This would be if you were using a conductive epoxy to make your bond. If you had something that you were placing and you just wanted to hold it in position with a UV, you know, epoxy or something, it's that's what that's for.
It's an optional thing, or?
Yeah, it's an option on the machine, yeah. So it sounds like maybe it was just bought just in case. So we can take this thing right off of here so that it's not in the way, and only use it when you need to. So, all right, so what are we going to do now? We're going to go to full magnification, right? And we're going to adjust our Z height. So are we at full mag? Okay, now adjust our Z height.
So this is fixed, 66 point something.
Yes, this is our fixed focal. So now that we get that adjusted, right? Next thing we want to do is let's bring some of this up. This light. There we go. Now we see. Now we're seeing the die right on top. So now what we need to do is we need to adjust this to line it up. Okay.
So moving the table to line up with the head.
Yes. I think you're. Let's zoom out here. I think we're not on the right scale. Yeah, we need to be to this one. So go ahead and float your table over to the other scale. That's all right. Takes a little getting used to, but once you do it a little bit, there you go. And yeah, so once you're close, you can zoom in now and go ahead and get your alignment. So, you were worried about the theta, right? So here's what I do when I do my theta. I'm taking this line here, and I'm bringing it down here. And see how it's touching here and it's not there? Now I adjust my theta rotation here on the head. See how I'm turning that whole thing? And then I adjust it to where I think it's good. Then I can adjust this a little bit more, and it looks like it's pretty good. So that's how we'll correct. So if your substrate isn't perfectly, we're manipulating both.
So this theta moves the head, not the...
Yes, this theta
not the
is
target.
moving this part, and it's turning the die, right, like this. This one here will be turning the bottom one. So if I move this one, see how that's moving?
There's the target is moving. Okay.
Yes, okay.
What was moving the head, sorry? What?
Right here, there's a micrometer here.
Oh, I see.
See?
On which axis?
See how it rotates it?
Oh, it rotates it.
Yeah.
It's not doing height or just...
Nope, it just rotates. Yep.
But
So until here now, it just tells us that our substrate is aligned, right? And then we have to repeat the same thing for our chip when we want to put it on this, right? Okay, so that's I'm confused about that.
So with the flip chip, instead of using these masks, we're using the pin locations,
Yes,
right?
that is correct.
For example,
Right, you'd be using pin location. This is, I'm just using this as a demonstration to show you how you would align and theta rotation. So this is basically, this is just for our calibration machine. This is not something
Okay,
that
so
we...
this is not we have to do every time.
No.
Okay, all right.
So basically, but the steps that we're doing right now, that you would definitely do that.
Okay.
You would adjust your Z height to the zero reference. You'd pick up your part, and then once you have your part up, then you say you had a VGA grid array, right? Then you would line the balls on your die up to the substrate pads, right? And then once they're aligned, then you bring it down, and then you do your process.
So for each like VGA or kind of configuration like that, we have a different reticule or screen.
Yes. Well, you're going to see, right? You're going to see. Well,
The macro bar for the...
So let's move on to this one.
Right?
And we're gonna have to adjust that. Okay, so let's go down. I think there was a. Yeah. No, keep going. Yeah. There isn't any. There's no. Oh, it's over here. Okay, so let's go that way. Maybe flip the table over.
On that square or that one?
Both, yes.
Here we go. Keep
Oh,
going.
that's
This
the
is
VGA.
Right, that's what you want. But if we go over here,
okay.
see, this is like a traditional.
Yeah, like a BGA.
Yeah. So basically.
What's the size on that?
No, it's not.
It's not, it's cap.
Yes.
Looks like cap.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's similar to a BGA.
Oh, yeah. Right. So basically, if I had a part up on my head with all the corresponding bumps, right? Then when I bring this up, right now we're just seeing this, but then we would do the same thing. We would align our bumps up to our grid, and then once it's aligned, then we bring it down into place.
Yeah, so we will see that if we had a...
Yes,
You
yes,
brought it
yes, that's right. If you had a part that matched this, you would see all the bumps. And then for your theta, just as a little trick that I normally do, is I'll take a row of the bumps and I put them in between a row. And then I look and I adjust my theta, and then I bring it up. Because if you just put it on top of each other, it's really hard to see where you are as far as theta, especially when you get this small. So those are all things that as you use the machine, you're gonna kind of figure out some things. So that's how you would pick up and place. So it's very important whenever you put a substrate down that you full magnification, adjust your Z height, pick up your part, adjust your focus, and then that's really if you do that every time, you're gonna be looking good. Because a lot of times what happens is people call me, hey, this thing's not placing flat, and okay, well, what tool are you using? Well, I'm using a tool for, 0.3 die, and, well, what's the thickness of the die you're placing? Oh, it's 1 millimeter. Well, yep, you're right, you're not placing flat, you're absolutely right. So those are the things that can, and if you're trying to, within reason, you can be off a little bit. It's all dependent on how precise your bond has to be. Because if you're trying to get down to this half micron level, that's where you really, everything has to be the way it's supposed to be. I mean, if you're, someone's trying to bond something within, 3 or 4, microns or something, then yeah, okay. If your tooling's off just a bit, you'd probably be okay. But if you're, once the more accurate you're trying to get, the more everything has to be the way it's supposed to be. So.
How do we fix the substrate?
It's
not gonna move?
Well, on the heater plate there's vacuum. So you would hold it down with vacuum. In the center there's a crosshair on the heater plate. So
okay.
yeah, so this plate here is just for calibration purposes.
So you're going to also use the heater plate and the steps, how to use the heater plates?
Yeah, well, we're
once the calibration is done.
So so the calibration, all this stuff is, you're not going to have to use this calibration or this stuff when you're doing your regular work. This is only if, someone hit the beam splitter and say, or you're lining things up and you're placing and you're saying, boy, this, I had that thing lined up perfectly and I put that down and that thing is not aligned, That's when you say, okay, I need to go check my calibration because maybe my calibration is off. Just to let you know, the calibration stays very, very accurate on these machines because we're not moving our beam splitter. All we're doing is we're on a pivot. That's it. So everything, that's why our machines stay so precise, because we're not moving all kinds of things around. We're only, that beam splitter is always in a fixed position. And then basically we get that one pivot, and that's it, and so so I was just trying to use this as to kind of show you how to line stuff. So hopefully I didn't confuse you by
let's move forward. Then,
right? Yeah. So okay.
What is the third pedal there for?
That's for the dispenser.
For the dispenser.
Yeah. So basically, if I want to place a dot, I push the pedal and it puts the one dot down.
So when you're making the bond, then that's when you push the dispenser?
No, you would dispense your material first, and then you place it. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this over, and we're just going to get this thing out of here. Put that away.
Make a bond now?
No. I don't have anything to do with bonds, so I'm just training you guys how to set up the machine to It's still in there.
So this is just for calibration.
This is just for calibration, yeah. I was just trying to use this as demonstration purposes to kind of show you how to pick things up, align and do your theta and all that. So yeah, so basically you would be working with, with this part and your other parts on your heater plate. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go through that. Okay, so let's take this and just put it, I think we'll put it back on the heater plate once we get the heater plate in, so we can just, maybe we'll just put it right here for now. Let's move this over here. And now what we're going to do is going to show you how you would put a heated tool or tool into the machine. So basically, you have this right here, and this is the, see, this is where you loosen, and normally taking the vacuum off helps with pulling it up. I twist and then I pull. Be careful that when you're pulling, you boom and you go right into the beam splitter or something.
So have to switch off the vacuum.
Yeah, switch off the vacuum. So basically, when I put this tool in there, I get it to a point where see how it's not all the way?
Yeah.
there's a rubber O-ring in the back there, so it gives some resistance. So what I normally do is I twist and I turn it until it's flat.
Go all the way in.
Right, all the way in. That's critical. And then this doesn't have to be real tight. Just snug it up, and then there you go. That's how. Whoops, sorry. That's how your tool would be. So if someone wants to go in there and kind of remove it and try to put it in.
Push hard, like
Turn and pull out.
You take a break?
Did not eat chicken this morning.
There you go, you got it, okay. So, go ahead and try and push it back in. You're gonna feel that resistance I was talking about. And it's really critical that that is all the way up against that holder. And that tool holder there is called, what we refer to it as an X center. Okay, that's the terminology that Finetech uses.
so we replace this with this tool, right? So we take it out and like this.
So the vacuum is actually same vacuum for this head and also for the.
Yeah, there's two separate vacuums. There's one vacuum for the heater plate. So there's two vacuums on the heater plate, one for a gel pack and one for holding your substrate. And then there's vacuum to the placement head.
But they're all controlled from the same pedal. All three. Are
No,
controlled.
they all have their different. They all have separate controls.
So which one is he controlling right now? The one.
He's not doing anything right now. It's shut off. The foot pedal was the one that
Shut off.
controls. Yeah. So one thing now, whenever we plug this heated tool in or unplug, we make sure that this power is off. Okay. Okay, so that plug is keyed, so you kind of have to turn it until it boom, and then it goes, and then a half a turn to click it and lock it. So the other thing is that this, okay, so once we have the tool in there, what we want to do is we want to come over and we want to look at it. Bring this up. Yeah, we'll zoom out here so we can see it. Okay, so.
Yeah, so
My tool is like this, right? I want to have it squared up. So what I can do to help me out with that is I can go into here. I can say, okay. So what you have to do is you have to loosen this. And then you kind of turn the heater and you'll see this thing turn. See? And then when you kind of get it how you want it, and remember, if you get it close, you have the theta there, you can always tweak it a little bit more, right? So boom, then you have it where you want it. We make sure that, okay, so now there's this little ear tube here, which it's okay where it is right now. But so this cable here, you always want to put this heated tool down and kind of.
so that doesn't touch.
So yeah, so what you do is you bring this over. And then you kind of watch it and make sure it doesn't catch on anything, okay? Okay, so yesterday when I was making up this recipe, so if you have a substrate and you have like 4 different parts on it, right? So you make up a profile. Let's start from scratch. Someone go ahead and just hit this one here. Okay. Just say no. Okay, so basically we're going to make up a brand new recipe from scratch. We have to know what we want to do. Here's the modules that are available to us. We have a CCH module, which is the heated tool on the top. We have a heater plate, and we have a dispense module. So just for the sake of training here, let's just say we're going to use the CCH module, click it, and then do the heating, and then we hit OK. All right, so now it's asking us for what the profile is. You could name this, 6x6 die or whatever the name of whatever you're placing, okay? So you make up a name for it.
6x6.
Yeah. And then you hit OK.
It's default, right?
Yeah. All right, so now let's hit the save button here. So now it's going to ask us what do we want. So now you would make this the name of your substrate, okay? So let's just type the name and name whatever you want.
It's gold.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, and we hit OK. So now we have the top kind of assembly, right? And then this drop-down box will be all of the different things that we're going to put onto that substrate, okay? So we just made one. So if we want to make up another one, we right-click on there, and we say New Profile. And now we're going to put just the dispenser in there. And we'll hit OK. And then we can name this, you know, dispense or something, or, you know. And then we hit OK. And now, so when we look at this dispense one, it has the dispenser here, but no heat or anything, right? If we click to the other one, there we go.
Yeah.
Now we have the CCH module heat plate. Okay, so the reason why the CCH module has an X on it, because it's not turned on.
Oh, so power.
Boom. So we turn the power on, boom, the X goes away.
Right.
Okay. So the next thing we want to do is basically whenever you develop a new recipe, we have to adjust our vacuum, because all the tools have different size vacuum holes, okay? So what we do is we go to base machine.
It just, you mean the calibration of the vacuum?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we're going to hit
Calibrate
calibrate tool, and then we're going to say without component. No, without. Okay, so here's, I'm going to show you something here, but this tool, when normally it could be sitting there at 90 degrees C as a standby temperature. So you just don't want to go and cover it with your finger unless you want an imprint of the tool on your, tattooed on your thumb or whatever.
That is the recommended.
So normally what you would do is, excuse me, you could cover it with something, you know, other than your finger.
So what temperature is now is there?
Yeah, there's no heat there, so you're okay. So you got it covered, and then you click without, and then we hit apply, and then you release, and see, now it's not sensing, because before it thought there was something on there, but there wasn't, because the vacuum wasn't adjusted properly, okay? So we have a couple of options. So say I'm using the same tool for all the different parts that I have. I can select apply to all profiles or just this profile, okay? So that's depending on what you do. So then once we do that, we're okay.
So if I use my hand, the dust or dirt, it doesn't matter? Like.
Well, no, it does, yes, because what normally I would,
Gloves?
you know, cover it with a cloth or something, or
use gloves.
yeah, or something, yeah, because yeah, just the oils from your fingers can make it so that, like your parts, really teeny tiny, those are really tough. The slight bit of contamination, because those things just don't want to release, you know. So that's where you have to make sure that, you know, everything is good. Isopropyl alcohol, clean the face off and stuff. All right, so once we're done that, then we're going to go and we're going to adjust our profiles for our heating plate, okay? So we click on heater plate. Boom, okay, so here we go. So basically, we can adjust how we want our temperature profile to be. So if we click on number 1 here, boom, we click on number 1, it's highlighted in gray. We have 3 things that we can adjust. We can adjust our ramp rate, we can adjust our temperature, and our duration. So basically, once we reach our temperature that we set, how long do we want to stay there? Okay, so just for, let's just type in, I don't know, 280.
280, okay.
Okay, so now you see, let's change our ramp. You can just click on the up and down there if you want. See, when we change our ramp, it changes our whole profile.
Yeah.
So now you can dictate how fast you want it to heat up and ramp up. And then, right, so then that's our plateau. And so once we're done that, we can go ahead and, so now number 2 is the